Hi, we're Quaint and Curious Volumes, and you're watching Quaint and Curious Volumes, the 1 month wrap up. My name is James. So, I put up my first video on January 2nd of this year. It is today, February 1st. So, I've been on for about a month. And it's been a lot of fun, and I've met a lot of people and gotten some subscribers, and I could not be more pleased. This is my friend Louise, my miniature poodle. She just had a birthday. She turned 12 on Tuesday, and she's a very good girl, as you can see. So, I want to talk about what I read last month, what I'm still reading, what I'm going to be reading in February. So, I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing thing, an ongoing feature of the channel. Do I have the right to say anything as a feature of the channel? I've been doing this for a few weeks. I don't know. We'll see. But in January, I read Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe, like I said I would, and it was very good. And it was very exciting. It had all kinds of twists and turns, a lot of plot development. I spoiled some details of the plot of Uncle Tom's Cabin in a couple of videos back. No one complained about it. I don't know if anyone noticed, but there you go. But yes, this was quite moving in parts, also very strident in other parts. There were some long sections of dialogue back and forth and whatnot. But if you're an American, especially, you should read this book. It is of great historical and literary importance. More historical. And then I read Swann's Way by Marcel Proust. I did a review video of this, so you can see some of my thoughts about this book in the review video called I Do the Proust Challenge or something like that. And I read House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. House of Mirth, let's see, I'll put this over here so you can see my little dog. House of Mirth, it's a 1905 Edith Wharton novel, sort of a novel of manners set among high society of New York. Mainly focused on the character of Lily Bart. Lily Bart was born and raised in high society in New York, and she is 29 years old and still unmarried. So this is unacceptable, simply unacceptable for a young unmarried woman at the time. She needs to find a husband, not just because she is getting old, but because she is running out of options. She is running out of money. Her parents were rich when she was young, but her father at a certain point became financially ruined. It's one of these things that happens in old novels. People will be sitting there having lunch, and the paterfamilias walks in, sits down and says, "I'm ruined." And after that, the servants have to go, the china gets sold, the silver gets sold, they move into a smaller house. Happens in these old books a lot. Happened to Mr. Bart. This is all told in flashback, by the way. The present day of this novel, as I say, around the turn of the century, turn of the 19th to 20th century, she is going about in society among a pretty petite group of people and trying to decide who to marry. She has her eye on someone who's very wealthy and a collector of old books and a total bore, we are told. Just leave that without comment. But anyway, and she is hoping that she can convince him to marry her and bore her for the rest of her life. It does not go as planned. Various things in Lily Bart's life do not go as planned, even though there is a young man who loves her and she is fond of, but he just doesn't have enough money. He has the right social connections, but he's not rich enough. She needs a lot of money to support herself. Eventually, they go to England. She has all kinds of dealings with men who have untoward desires toward her, impure intentions. She ends up in a great deal of debt, and then well, I don't want to spoil the House of Mirth, but let me say, this is a beautifully written book. It is not the easiest thing to just pick up and read. It does have quite a bit of description, and Edith Wharton was a rather ornate writer. If I compare this to the other book of hers that I've read recently, which was Age of Innocence, this is a little bit more straightforward. It has more sections of dialogue, whereas Age of Innocence seemed to be a lot of subtext. She was explaining what people were thinking and feeling, and there was and what the social standards of the time were. This tells more of the story through dialogue, although there are great paragraphs of psychology and subtext and setting and analysis. Yes, but Lily Bart, ultimately, she is raised. I think there's a passage where it says she was bred for one thing, and she was, at a certain point, she was unable to do that thing, and so she was unable to do anything else, and so she was kind of at odds, at loose ends in society. Anyway, Lily Bart, a beautiful woman with a lot of social capital, a lot of connections, unable to find a husband. It ends tragically. Anyway, I don't want to also spoil The House of Mirth. Not a very mirthful book, but well worth your time. I also read on my Kindle as a palate cleanser, and because I hadn't read it since I was a child, I read Winnie-the-Pooh. That's pretty good. Yeah. So, and I know I had that whole video. I quit doing reading challenges where I complain about reading challenges where you have to read children's books. All right, fine. Still, Winnie-the-Pooh is pretty good. Then I listened to 2 audiobooks, which were both free on Spotify if you're a Spotify subscriber. So if you are, you can listen to, I think it's 15 hours a month of free audiobook. So because of where my month reset, I was able to get 2 of them in. I listened to My Effin Life by Geddy Lee and The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. So 2 music memoirs. Geddy Lee, if you don't know, was the singer and bassist for the Canadian progressive rock, classic rock, hard rock band called Rush. Rush had a very long career, did a lot of concept albums. He was a phenomenally talented bass player and a synthesizer player, and his singing was quite divisive because he sung very high, and a lot of people found it risible or grating. But Rush always were willing to try new things to push the envelope. Their drummer was one of the greatest drummers you'll ever hear. Their guitar player, Alex Lifeson, was phenomenal. And Geddy Lee's memoir, My Effin Life, if you're familiar with rock memoirs, it kind of follows a lot of the same beats, but it does deal for a couple of chapters with his parents' and grandparents' experience in Poland during World War II. He was descended of Holocaust survivors, and Geddy Lee tells their story in quite a bit of detail, actually. So it was quite moving on that point. At a certain point in every rock biography, or almost every one, there's going to be some drugs involved. There is some of that. Not a lot of philandering, or at least not that he wrote about. He did manage to stay married to the same woman for, I guess, 50 years now. And these celebrities, once they got old enough, they start dabbling in other stuff, and then the end of their book is all about sailing boats or painting or sculpting or whatever that you don't care about because that's not what they're good at. But and then at the very end, how great it is to have grandkids. Oh, I'm sorry. I fell asleep while I was talking about it. Now, Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me, considerably shorter because her story is not over. But boy, what a story! Not well written. Well, I didn't read it, but not terribly well written, but really fascinating to hear the story. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Britney Spears, but she's certainly been in the public eye for a long time, and I've been an adult for all of it, so I've seen it and experienced it. So it's interesting to hear what was going on with her, and her story is not a happy one. It seems like she's been released from her conservatorship, so she has the autonomy that any uh, American adult would expect to have now, which is good. How she managed to get into that conservatorship, it's just a terrible story. Um, but it has a hopeful ending. So hopefully things will be getting better for Britney Spears. Maybe in 40 years she'll do another memoir in which she talks about how she's discovered basket weaving and has grandkids, and it's really wonderful. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I fell asleep while I was saying it. But so I have a couple of ongoing projects that I will continue with. One of them is the poetry of John Donne. I'm almost finished with this. I'm into this is the Norton Critical Edition. I've read some of the essays in the back. It's the poems are divided by genre, so there are satires, most of which are not terribly funny. There are elegies, most of which are not very sad. Then there are songs, which are kind of his best known works, I guess, or his best known non sacred works, things like The Flea. And then there are the religious poems. So I'm reading the Holy Sonnets now, and these are also some of his more well known ones. Let me read one of the Holy Sonnets. Not a well known, or not one of the famous ones, but here's one. What if this present were the world's last night? Mark in my heart, O soul, where thou dost dwell, the picture of Christ crucified, and tell whether that countenance can thee affright. Tears in his eyes quench the amazing light. Blood fills his frowns, which from his pierced head fall. And can that tongue adjudge thee unto hell, which prayed forgiveness for his foe's fierce spite? No, no, but as in mine idolatry I said to all my profane mistresses, beauty of pity, foulness only is a sign of rigor. So I say to thee, to wicked sprites are hard shapes assigned. This beauteous form assures a piteous mind. I didn't do a great job reading that. It's quite a complex poem. It's Holy Sonnet number 9 by John Donne. If you like untangling difficult poems, and you should give it a try from time to time, try John Donne's poetry. Here is another thing that I'm doing with the controversial Steve Donahue. He is reading through the Gospels, and I am reading along. So if you are interested, he is reading the King James translation. In January, he read through one chapter a day, the Gospel according to Mark. We're reading Matthew now. I have been reading along and taking and annotating my Bible, and it's been quite rewarding. You get Steve's commentary on it, which is always fun and always worthwhile. I know fun is right, but it is enlightening. So what I'm reading in the coming month, and I promise I read things other than stuff that Steve Donahue says you should read. I am taking part in his book club, reading Marie Antoinette, The Journey by Antonia Fraser, biography of Marie Antoinette. What is it, baby? See, look at this. I start talking about Steve, and my dog gets all worked up. Anyway, I'm about 25 pages into Marie Antoinette, The Journey. Uh, just really well written biography. Since it is Black History Month, I like to read some African American works. I'm reading The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. DuBois. I'm about a quarter of the way through this. I have read about the double consciousness. I have read about the dawn of freedom. This little history of the of Reconstruction, where he says the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line. Now, this was published in about 1903, I think. So, at the very dawn of the 20th century, he's saying the problem is going to be the color line, meaning the division in the country between the African American and the mainstream of society, and how all these freed slaves would be integrated into the rest of America. Clearly, we've not sorted all of that out yet, but this is a really fascinating look at what the state of it was 120 years ago. I will also be reading, and this will be a first-time read for me, Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Now, I've read Beloved and Song of Solomon and Jazz and Paradise. So this would be my fifth Morrison. I mean, if you haven't read Toni Morrison, what are you waiting on? She is a great writer. And The Bluest Eye, I think, is her first novel. It's a controversial one. I'm not sure why. I know it's been challenged and banned a lot, but I'll give it a read. I'm a grown up. I can probably take it, whatever it is that people are upset by. I have a couple of other African American books that I may also read this month. I'm thinking of possibly reading Blood Done Sign My Name, which I have over here. Blood Done Sign My Name by Timothy Tyson. This is a history of something that happened in Oxford, North Carolina, a place I've been to in the 1970s. So a civil rights era story in the American South. And I also have a copy of Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, which I may also read. I know that is not about African American experience, but it is written by the great African American writer James Baldwin. If you are also looking to add some African American writing to your reading list this month, Brian over at the channel Bookish has a good list of about 25 titles, and he goes through them and has recommendations. So I'll leave a link to that. And there are plenty of other booktubers who will be talking about this as well. So that is what I have. It's been a lot of fun to meet a lot of you this month, and I guess I'll keep doing it. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'll keep doing it. I'll keep doing it. I've got I thought it would probably take me a year to get to the number of subscribers I have. I know others have gotten greater subscriber counts faster than me, and that's fine, man. I'm not for everyone. I get it, but if you have a friend who you think would be interested in the kind of gibberish that I'm throwing down, let them know. And if you've read any of these books or have any thoughts or any suggestions, leave a comment. I love to see the comments that I've been getting. I love to go back and forth with some people about it. So, all right, Louise, go ahead. There you go. All right, I guess the mail's here, so I better go get it. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.